It's Java Gab with Jordan, here to perk up your day. It's Java Gab with Jordan, start your week the a cappella way.
Well, hello everyone out there. My name is Jordan Travis. I'm the executive director of the Sing Festival here in Toronto, and really excited. This is a cool day outside. The last few days, it's been super cold here, but it's kind of sunny. I'm loving the sun and just kind of basking in that for the 2 minutes that I can get out there without getting frostbite in like minus 10 plus wind chill. Wherever you are chiming in from, tuning in from, let us know. It's wonderful to have people from all over the world join us in the morning on Java and Gab. So let us know in the chat. We love knowing where you're from. We often have people. We have a fellow that often comes on from South Africa, a whole bunch of people, of course, here in the general Toronto area. And we have a few guests here from overseas as well, which we're going to be getting to in just a few moments. So like I said, in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from. Hello, Julia. You are the first to comment. And you love hearing that jingle. You know what's funny? Before the show began, my wife and kids were just out of the kitchen here going, "It's Java and Gab with So they like singing it along too. In fact, we're talking about this maybe in like a few weeks, maybe in March, having my kids interview me. So what do you think about that? I think it would be interesting. I want to know what my 4-year-old daughter is going to ask. I'm kind of somewhat scared, actually. Good morning, Jin. It's wonderful to have you join us all the way from sunny Vancouver. I'm sure it's not sunny right now. It's probably still dark, but at least over the weekend, pretty sunny, which is good. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of a positivity blast this morning, because that's what it's all about. And our Monday mornings are of a positivity about a cappella music, just sharing. And I read this and I just love it. One kind word can warm the winter months. And I don't know about you, but especially in some of the cold weather and the lockdown, we've been inside a lot. And it's wonderful to reach out to those friends and family. Just take a moment, reach out to people that you love, and just remind them that you're thinking about them. I know it means the world, and it does warm your heart that little bit. It warms the winter months. Jim Boyd, our friend Jim Boyd James, all the way from Stony Creek, which for me is about a 10-minute drive. It is wonderful that you're on this morning. Thanks for joining us. It's just great to get things working. Now, as per usual, I do have a couple dad jokes for you. And as per usual, they're horrible. But I don't know if you enjoyed the Super Bowl yesterday. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't watch it. I'm not that into it, but I have lots of friends who are watching. But my two dad jokes are kind of a little bit about the Super Bowl, or maybe watching TV, or just sitting back. And I just want you to know, like, my wife and I might not watch the Super Bowl, but I bought this beautiful. I just love my recliner. I don't know if you use recliners, but I love my recliner. We go way back. All right, boo, that was terrible. Okay, I get it. But you know what? I decided my recliner has this little hookup, so I hooked up my stereo to my recliner, and now, you guessed it, it's a rocking chair. Boo, terrible. All right, I'll use the one that I use on my 4-year-olds. How does a penguin build its house? How does a penguin build its house? Do you know? He glues it. Yeah, I've noticed that with the now we're getting reactions. That's such a groaner. Absolutely, all of them are horrible groaners. Let me tell you. Let's get on to some cool stuff. So first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about the Sing Festival and some really cool things that we're doing and have happened. So if you've been on with us the last few weeks, you'll know that we have Sing Radio happening. So Dylan and Suba our artistic directors have been working with Acaville Radio and Hear Maple Music. And so basically Friday through Sunday, you can listen to beautiful Canadian a cappella music, right? Either groups that are Canadian or Canadian music. And a lot of it has been part of our festival in the past, but it's wonderful, wonderful way just to listen to a cappella music. I know you love a cappella music out there, and a great way. So Acaville Radio, you can check them out. By the way, they play like a cappella music all the time, but you can check them out as well as Maple Music, and you can check that out. It's a wonderful way to engage with a cappella music. The other cool information is that the FEO, Festival and Events Ontario, have just awarded us for last year's work an achievement award, and we've actually received this award from the FEO for the past 7 years, which is amazing. We're one of the organizations that have earned this achievement award, and last year in particular, it's because of pivoting to online and engaging online and running our festival and allowing our festival to just be incredible all online. So we're really proud of this achievement award from the FEO, and a big thanks to Festivals and Events Ontario. Now, before I bring on our very special guests, and if you read a little thing today, we have a couple of members from the Swingles, which are probably one of the most like iconic a cappella groups of maybe all time, right? Pretty amazing, all the way from overseas. And but before we do that, something that's a little bit local. If you are thinking about this upcoming weekend, it's Valentine's Day, and you're thinking, hey, I'd love to do something for Valentine's Day, but hey, we're in lockdown. I can't really do anything. One of the choruses that I direct, called the Harbortown Sound, are doing something called Virtual Singing Valentines. So what it is a song that we've recorded specifically, a love song for Valentine's Day, and you're able to personalize your card. So you can personalize it in terms of a beautiful message and who it's to. And if you check out harbortownsound.ca, you can go check that out and purchase a Singing Valentines to give to a loved one, a friend. I decided to give a few to friends who have just been so supportive and wonderful. So it's not really Valentine's, it's more of a thank you. But it's a great way to support something local, and at the same time, a great way to tell somebody that you love them in an a cappella way, which is kind of cool. Now, the most amazing thing, as I said earlier, we have members of the Swingles with us today. And if you kind of follow the Swingles, originally the Swingle singers back in the 1960s. So I mean, like, this group has been around for a long time. The two people that we're going to chat with, I don't even know if I don't think they were even born in the 1960s, maybe not even 1970s, right? Maybe we're looking like at 80s and 90s, but they're part of this wonderful legacy. And truly, the Swingles are masters of their craft. I think all of us at some point that are involved in the a cappella world have heard the Swingles. I know back when I was in high school, my choir director played us this recording, and it was kind of these nonsense syllables to like a classical piece, and kind of had like a jazz flair, and told, this is the Swingles. And that was my first foray into listening and absorbing the Swingles. But since then, they've really been masters of the craft. They've won, the group over the years have won 5 Grammys, which is incredible. They have more than 50 recordings, including a recording that they've just put out, a compilation recording we'll talk about a lot. It's not just classical music, it's pop, it's jazz, it's folk, it's contemporary, it's classical, and also new original work. And I know that there's a piece or two on their last album, and they're working on something coming up. In addition to that, they host the London A Cappella Festival, and getting more and more people engaged in a cappella music. So please help me welcome one of the most amazing groups, a cappella groups of all time, maybe groups of all time, the Swingles. But let's listen to a little bit first.
Let me tell you about a man I know. He is my baby and he lives next door. Every morning before the sun comes up, he brings me coffee in my favorite cup. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love him so.
Well, hello there. I'm on with Midge and Ollie. How are you both doing?
We're good, thanks. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, fantastic. I have to say, when you're talking about Hallelujah, I love her so, but brings me coffee in my favorite cup. I mean, that's what's in my favorite cup right now. I'm enjoying. So I had to play that clip. I felt like it was sung to me.
Of course it was. We planned it. We did.
We only sing about the important things.
Absolutely. Love, loss, coffee. It's those are the three things, right? All songs are kind of
pillars of society. Those three things.
Right.
Absolutely. So, you're both in London right now, chatting with me?
We are right now in snowy London.
Snowy London.
Yeah, we're channeling some of your Canadian winter over here at the moment, and we have a cold snap happening. So we've got snow falling outside the window just over here.
Yeah, it's a bit sad and slushy and grey though. Not beautiful like in Canada.
It's not like fluffy and nice and yeah. Well, although in the morning sometimes before it gets all kind of horrible and slushy, it's beautiful.
Right.
So tell me, let's kind of dig in a little bit. So the Swingles, I mean, just an amazing legacy of an organization, right? So we're looking from like the 1960s to now, but more recently, it seems, maybe in the last decade or so, or maybe a little bit longer, there's been like a more of a shift, it seems, towards like doing different styles of music, getting engaged in different styles of a cappella, but still always having that Swingle stamp. What was there like a change that happened that you know of, or was it just naturally organic?
Well, I think I'm sure Midge will have an idea on this as well, but I think for me, there's like a common line of a DNA that runs throughout the last 55, 60 years of this group. And although the group started singing, classical music in a jazz style, I don't think that was ever like the artistic intention. The artistic intention was to see what the human voice could do and to play with new ideas and to try and find things that maybe hadn't been approached that way before. So rather than the DNA of a group like the Swingles being we reinvent classical music, the DNA is actually we try and push what you can do as a group of singers and try new ideas and play. And I think that over the whole history of the group, if you look back, there's hardly a genre that the group hasn't touched on in that time. Which is singing with orchestras, doing like contemporary symphonies.
We lost him.
He's gone.
Boom.
Oh no. He actually was worried that might happen.
Well, boom.
He's back.
Ollie is also a magician, if you didn't know.
The disappearing act.
But that's, I mean, I love that concept. I love that idea of that common thread of being basically throughout the history of the organization and basically pushing what is possible in terms of performance, in terms of the human voice, which is amazing. And would you say, Midge, that's your experience with the organization as well?
Yeah, I think Ollie just hit the nail on the head there. I think the group never intentionally did just one thing. Yeah. Their motto, I think, going through, and I think it's still ours today, is to just be at the forefront of music making, whether that's a specific style or whether it's what we do, which is a bit of everything. But actually, I don't know if you know, the scat singing that the group did and became famous for was actually an accident. They kind of started off doing it for fun, and then it just became this really, really cool thing that no one had done before. So something that defines us as the Swingles might never have happened.
That's really interesting. You would think that there was something intentional about it, but I kind of love the fact that it was totally not intentional. And totally just like happenstance. But frankly, that's kind of what we do as singers, right? Like we just play around and fool around, and sometimes you hit on something that becomes really cool.
Exactly, yeah.
So, in terms of your arrangements, do you ever arrange that way collaboratively, or are they typically done by individuals?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have some people who are more experienced in arranging than others in the group, but actually something we are loving more and more is that exact idea of arranging collaboratively. So we have all these games and kind of improv, and when we find a sound world that we love, we'll play on that. And some of our original music has come out of those improvisations, and we love that idea of working together, and because we're writing music for us, so if we love how it sounds and how it feels for us, then it's going to work that way.
So I recently read this, and it really spoke to me, and I don't know if there's anything intentional about this. So this fellow, and I've been kind of absorbing and just listening to your music, your latest album, and watching that on YouTube and just enjoying. And one of the comments on one of the songs was, the greatest gift of a Swingle tune is that there is always room to add one more voice, aka the listener's voice, and basically to add the listener's voice to the beautiful tones that are pouring out from every place in the room. Is that something that you're conscious of, or do you kind of just arrange and then, or these arrangements happen and they're just such that people join in? I know I'm the same way. I was kind of listening to actually a few tunes from like 15 Step, which I love, by the way. It's just, I love the percussion, the body percussion and the looping and stuff. And just singing along with, or kind of humming or harmonizing along with, is that intentional, or does that just happen?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, there are certain songs that we write very definitely with the idea that it's something that is meant to trigger sort of a communal singing response. Like a song like Burden that that some people might know is like, it's made for that sing-along feeling. And
yes.
And obviously our whole thing, we're 7 singers creating worlds with just our voices, and it's one of the age-old thing, isn't it, is telling stories by singing together as a group. And
absolutely,
and even in things where there's not an obvious call and response or something, for us when we perform, it should always feel like a conversation with an audience. There should always feel that idea that there's an energy flow going back and forth between the audience and us. So for sure, like I do the same with other groups. I'm there singing along, imagining what it would be like to be on stage with them. And
yeah.
That's the joy of community singing and group singing, is that you can imagine yourself as part of that puzzle. And we love that. We love that stuff.
So talking about imagining being on stage with them, that was like the perfect segue. Obviously, so I have family, my in-laws and other family in England. And I know that you have been dealing with lockdown for a long time, similar to us. So everything kind of came to a halt last March. So we're coming up to a year. And in that time have been stricter lockdown times, for lack of a better word. And we've had the exact same thing. And I think we're both actually in a lockdown time right now. How have the Swingles kind of dealt with this pandemic?
I mean, it's been rough. I think initially it was just an adjustment from our lives revolved around traveling and touring most of the year and never being at home and spending a lot of time on a plane and singing together. And it all, as you just said, it all happened so suddenly. You know, March last year, there was a day and we thought, okay, this is all going to stop. So the first few weeks were definitely adjusting to that and what our lives may become. But we very quickly actually saw the time as a good thing and put it to use and figured out how to make music virtually and all in different places. So and this album, Snapshots Volume 2, is the product of that whole year.
So, and Snapshots Volume 2, I mean, throughout this year, you've been basically recording a song a month?
Right.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
Like that, and producing and putting it out to the world. I mean, that's massive.
It's a sharp learning curve for all of us, working out how to, set up a home studio and record and do the whole thing to a timeline, edit, mix. The whole thing has been done in-house.
That's amazing.
So it's been fun to learn some new skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a labor of love. I mean, granted, we'd all love to be able to see you live and to be there live, but the fact that you've given us this is incredible. And like every month, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. Now,
This been a video with each one as well. So there's been the audio component, but we've also created music videos for every single one of those songs as well. So it's been it's like a diary of the last year, because we're sort of remembering what was happening at those various points throughout.
Absolutely. And for many of them, they really are music videos. I mean, it's not just heads and boxes. This is like really wonderful videos, very poignant. So like I was listening, and Midge, I know you're soloing on Goodbye England, and just really enjoying the haunting, beautiful harmonies of that piece. Was that filmed just outside of London or in that area?
That was filmed in the Suffolk countryside at this
lovely.
beautiful concert venue called Snape Maltings, that we've been very lucky to sing at before. And we did a Christmas concert there when lockdown restrictions were eased a little bit. And
So that's where the Christmas concert was?
Yeah, it was in the hall there.
Okay.
And we definitely seized the opportunity and shot the video, and because the stunning reed beds, and
I know,
and we got this amazing weather, and it was really perfect.
It was beautiful, and I love how you're integrating, and like I said, it's not just heads and boxes. Like it's and those are great too. And sometimes certain songs kind of warrant that, but having more of that video was it's lovely. It just makes it really happy.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree that we've with Zoom and with everything else going on, there's a lot of heads in boxes going on in our lives at the moment. So if we can in any way, like when we can, try and do something that's a little bit not that, I think we're all hungry to be more creative with the visual side within the restraints of what we can and can't do at the moment.
Yeah. Now last year you were able to put on 2 kind of concerts, right? So you're talking about Christmas, which we were just talking about, and another concert where you were able to perform, but you had to be distanced from each other, and all of those things, just because lockdown was lifted. Talk about that experience, because you would have been away from each other for a long time, all at home, and then you finally have this opportunity to come together. But you would have to stay distant, so you couldn't do the normal social things like hugs and handshakes, and So tell about that experience and singing together again.
So yeah, you're right. We did 2. We were incredibly lucky actually to have 2 opportunities to do live stream concerts. One live as part of the Live from London festival, which was hosted by our friends Watches 8, who have done an amazing job at curating these digital festivals. They've got another one actually just about to start, the springtime one. So if you want to see some live music from London, go check out their socials as well. But it was actually that first one particularly was incredibly emotional, because I think we were at a time thinking, like, not really sure whether lots of our industry is going to survive this, really, because there was no end in sight. In some ways there isn't, except the vaccine has created a real light at the end of the tunnel, hasn't it, for us at the moment. But that first one, it was just a complete joy to be in the same space. And obviously we had to stay 2 meters apart the whole time, and it was like a mathematically organized exercise of where we could stand on the stage, so that at all times we were in our own airspace and 2 meters apart. And same for our Christmas concert, which we did at Snape, that Midge said. That one, however, this is quite a little fun thing, is that the whole of the southeast of London, of the UK rather, went into like the highest restrictions whilst we were there. And you looked at a map, and the whole, like, everything was like tier 4 highest restrictions, apart from one tiny bubble where it wasn't, which is where we were. So had our area gone into the higher thing, the whole thing would have had to have been cancelled. And about 2 days after we left, that area also went into the highest area. So that whole Christmas thing nearly didn't happen for us.
Wow.
But by some miracle, it was fine.
I mean, it's a Christmas miracle. But thank you so much for doing it. I mean, you're giving us a sense of normalcy. And I think, and live music, which I think most of us have been craving. As a listener, but also as a singer myself, I miss the live music, and having those experiences to watch and to be part of as an audience are phenomenal. So I think that's fantastic. If people are just chiming in, I'm here with two of the Swingles, which is amazing. And I'm going to also say this: if anyone has any questions for the Swingles, please throw it in the chat, because it's really cool. This is an opportunity that I don't think we get very often. So please do that. But something that's interesting to me, at least as a singer myself, and I know that we have a lot of singers that watch, in terms of like when back in normal times, how do you rehearse as an organization? Like, do you have somebody who leads things, or is it kind of collaboration approach?
Yeah, so we run the group as the seven of us. So everything is done in-house. But saying that, we do work in teams. And one of those teams is the music team. So they will rehearse us. They'll run the sound checks when we're on tour and we have a sound check before a live show. They'll choose the music that we sing in the shows. So yeah, that's kind of how we work. We compartmentalize things, but it's a total collaborative approach to everything we do, whether that's rehearsing or social media or marketing or songwriting or everything we do together, which is going back to this lockdown. We're used to spending every minute together, and then suddenly we were all on our own. So yeah, I definitely miss that side of things.
Absolutely. We have a question here from Pat. Talk about your audition/selection process when you're looking for a new member. Now, this might be interesting because Midge, aren't you like quite a new member of the Swingles?
Yes. Yeah, relatively new.
And Ollie, you've been with the group for quite a long time now.
For ages and ages. I'm an old man.
1,000 years.
Since 2,000 years.
Since the 1960s.
Yeah, around then, yeah.
So talk to me about that process. Like, if you're looking for a new member, what happens?
So we, the current singers always do the auditioning. So it's not someone outside of the group that does that. So we only ever have the 7 singers that are in the group. We don't have sort of a pool of singers that are second on call or anything like that. It's just the 7 of us. So we only audition for a singer when someone decides to leave, which thankfully is not that frequent an occurrence. It doesn't happen very often. But we post for that, have people auditioning from all over the world. So it's not just a UK thing. So currently at the moment, we have an Italian singer in the group and an American singer in the group. But we've, in my time, had a German singer and a Canadian singer, of course, Mr. Kevin Fox, who lots of you guys will be aware of. And we audition from all around the world, and it's quite a lengthy and involved process, because there's, as Midge mentioned just now, we run as a real family. So you have to be really sure of someone when they come into a group like this, because it's not a job as much as it is like a family that creates art at our best. That's what we're doing. So we have them memorize absurd amounts of music, come into a room, sing that on microphone, by memory. We go back and listen to see for accuracy in what they're doing with their voice isolated on the desk, which is really mean. And then call more people back, give them more music to memorize, do it again. Then there's an interview process as well. By that point, they've essentially memorized a whole show, so they can start the job and hit the ground running, really, at that point. But we don't make it easy for people coming in, not because we're awful people, but because the fit has to work. We need to know.
Absolutely. Like, musical things aside, when you're basically living together, when you're traveling together, when you're a family, and so that's
that 4 a.m. in an airport thing when someone hasn't had their coffee yet. That's the moment. You've got to know that it works.
It's a huge part of it.
Yeah. I think increasingly we're sort of thinking about the sort of world we're in and the type of music we're making, and that's been our audition process historically. But I think moving forward, we're more keen actually to find the sort of the spirit of the singer, as opposed to sort of the classical learning of the singer. I think a group like ours can default quite heavily into just like, can you read music or learn? And that's actually not what's important to us. It's about the spirit of the singer and what they can do on stage. So we're looking at ways that we can make finding those type of singers easier in an audition process too.
That's awesome, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. So I want to talk about the album because this is a compilation of pieces that you've basically been putting together throughout lockdown, which is incredible. And in it is the most eclectic mix of music on one album. It's so for someone like myself, I love it. I love it because it's hitting me in different ways. There's different sounds. There's different feel all the time. Was that totally by like, hey, that's who we are, so we want to put that out? Was it by choice, or did it just happen?
I mean, yeah, we definitely think about we thought about what video we wanted to put out next, and we wanted to make sure we hit all those different things. But in all honesty, we just wanted to make a video for every song that we did, and we've kind of done them now, like all the Swingle go-tos. Like Les Fleurs, for example, we've wanted to make a video for so long, and it was in peak lockdown last summer, and we thought this is our time to make a video for Les Fleurs. So, and then we wanted to include some originals and some of the classics. So yeah, it's all in there.
And it's funny you said Les Fleurs because I was watching that just the other day. And the greenery, and I was like, "Oh, I miss that so much." Just the visual. It was like, "Oh, I can't wait."
Yeah.
And
some of these plants featured in that video. Actually, I moved them behind, so I had greenery.
That's amazing. I love it. So in addition to that, though, you do stuff like Footprints with the New York Voices. I mean, wow, what an incredible collaboration.
That
was really cool for us too.
that song that we've had in rep for a little while, but we have been looking for. New York Voices are longtime friends of ours, and we just live for the moments where we cross paths on the road because we always have an amazing time and heart to heart catch up with them.
Absolutely.
But this one, we were like, this is the song that would suit them. So we had Claire Wheeler. Now Claire Gerard, who used to sing with us in the Swingles, our alto, she arranged the song for us originally, and we had her arrange parts for them to add into the arrangement that was already there and create this mega track with them.
Absolutely.
And then they recorded their stuff in the States, and ours in over here. And magic of digital joy, we have a video.
I mean, it's incredible, an incredible arrangement, and just hearing. What I'd say is these two a cappella supergroups together, and it's gorgeous. And of course, some original stuff. So Lullaby, I've talked about Lullaby a little bit before, but original piece. And for me, I mean, I say this, but the harmonies and everything, it just feels so familiar. It's kind of like putting on a flannel blanket. It's just, I listen to it and I'm like, just want to curl up. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, that was for sure the intention of that one, is that moment where you're just so warm and cozy and safe and just about to drift off to sleep. It's trying to capture that specific moment.
Absolutely.
I think Edward, who co-wrote that one with Lucy Potterton, who again was a former alto of the Swingles, they absolutely nailed that one. And obviously Joe Goldsmith on the lead. I could listen to her singing always. Her voice is one of my favorites.
Stunning.
It's butter. It's
it's so smooth.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. So there's a whole pile of. I mean, the list goes on and on of just incredible arrangements, a total variety. We played Hallelujah, I Love Her So earlier on. We talked about Goodbye England. Red Rain, 15 Step. But what would you say are your maybe? And this is hard to do, I know, but what would be your personal top fave?
Midge, you go first.
Yes, one of my favorites, and I'll have to think if I have another one, is Leaving Again in the Wee Small Hours. That was one. It's one of the tracks not made in lockdown, but actually I love the idea that I'm so proud of the album and the way we made it in lockdown, but Leaving Again holds the memory of being back on tour, and we filmed the video when we were in New York last year. Where were we? Somewhere in America.
Outside. Wolf Trap.
Wolf Trap Hall, and yeah, that's the memory it holds for me is being on tour, and it's that specific sound world I just love. I think in the same way as Lullaby, it's just so magical, and that's definitely one of my top tracks.
Absolutely.
I think for me, one of my top ones, I'm going to go with one of the originals, which is the other one on the album, which is called Blue Above the Clouds, which is surprisingly hard to say.
We always say Blue Above.
Blue Above
the Clouds.
Hold on. I think we need to put this in our chat here. This is a new tongue twister now. Blue Above the Blue Above.
That one,
yeah.
obviously, it's an original song, which is something we're doing more and more of. And over the last decade, we've been really pushing into doing that. But it was also, we had an absolutely beautiful spring and summer here in England this year. And it was, I think, the first video that we filmed that was like not a box video, and we were out and we had Federica film herself in Italy. We had Edward film himself in Devon, all to a theme. And then the rest of us were in London, and we met and distanced filmed each other in an area of East London. And it was this gorgeous, we got up really early as the sun was coming up, and it was this blazing hot, dusky, amazing day. And we were down by the river, and then we were here, and it was just, it sort of really fired my creativity again, being around things and doing something that wasn't just staring at an iPhone on a stand in my flat. So that holds a special place.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that it's not just the song, but the whole experience of it. Really, you feel it as a performer. You feel that whole experience. That's wonderful.
And then when you perform that later, you bring all of that narrative to the performance.
Absolutely. So tell us, this is going to be really important. In a moment, we're going to play a little game, because I want to get to know both of you better. Before we play the game, what I want to do is I want to know how people can find you and how people can support you, because we're all big fans of the Swingles. How can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find us everywhere. We're all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And actually, we love people reaching out to us. And if you have any questions, we run those accounts ourselves. So please do get in touch. But I think it's really important that we talk about our Patreon page, because fans can support us directly there. And we wouldn't have been able to make any music at all, let alone put this album together, without our supporters on Patreon. They have basically helped us through the pandemic. We're so appreciative of them, but also you get things in return. You get sneak peeks behind the scenes, you get extra materials, and you can be involved in the music making process. So yeah, our website is here at the bottom, and everything is there. All our music videos are on YouTube, and our Patreon page is there. But
for those who don't know about Patreon, it's a platform basically that allows you there are various tiers of how you can financially support us, starting from as little as a couple of dollars every month, up to a bit more than that if you fancy it for different things. And cumulatively, it adds up to allowing us to continue to work in a time where, because normally our ability to earn comes from touring. That's the bread and butter of what we do. And obviously the world we live in and will be living in for at least another year, I think, isn't going to allow us to do that. So for us, in order just to keep trucking, Patreon has just been incredibly important. So there's a link to Patreon on our website. There's if you go to the menu, there'll be a thing that says become a patron, or you can go to patreon.com/the Swingles, and that's where we are.
And we should warn you that the behind the scenes videos are pretty weird. We're pretty crazy people, so.
But we also Midge, we forgot the most important one. We just joined TikTok.
Oh,
We're gonna become TikTok famous before you know it. I tell you.
We're taking over.
You know what? I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. I think I'm too old to be really engaging on TikTok.
Oh, me too. I'm far too old.
But
it's a weird place.
Oh, I love it, but I appreciate. I love the fact that you're doing it. So just everyone out there, you have to check out the Swingles. And if you have no clue who we're talking about, get out from under your rock, listen to some beautiful a cappella music, because the Swingles are really, like I said, one of the most iconic and long-running a cappella groups of all time, really. And head over to their website. From their website, you can find all their socials and, of course, their Patreon. It's really important that we support the arts in these difficult times, and groups like the Swingles, who have supported us with beautiful music and given us so much. The little bit that we can give makes a big difference. So, big love. Now it's game time. So we're going to play a little game. This game is called This or That. And
Cool.
those of you who are listening and watching, even if you take this in after the fact, we want to know. Put it in the comments below. So this or that. And basically, I'm going to have you pick between two different things. And some of them are going to be somewhat British. So I tried my best here.
Okay.
Fortunately, I have an in, so I have some connections. The first question has nothing to do with England in particular or the UK. It's, if you were to live anywhere, would it be the country or the city?
City for me.
City.
City. Both city. So is it because you like the hustle and bustle and the liveliness? Is that, yeah.
And
I need to be
the
around.
art, food and the people and the energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be the different one here. I'm gonna go with the country. However, I'd like to be in the country close to a city.
That's allowed.
You'll allow that. I'm glad with my game that
We'll allow you.
Yes, you can do that.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Oh, most people are saying, I'm seeing two people that have said the city. So we got city, country's appealing, but no, probably the city.
Yeah.
So we're city, country. Okay. The next question. Now, I probably shouldn't call it ketchup. I should probably call it like tomato sauce or something, or red sauce. But ketchup or brown sauce?
Oh, ketchup.
Ketchup.
Absolutely.
Brown sauce is vile. Ugh.
Oh, really? I don't mind it, but I find it. Yeah, it's for our North American people, by the way. That's HP sauce. Brown sauce, HP sauce. Yeah, they'll have no idea what brown sauce is.
It's horrible. Ollie will drink ketchup from the bottle if he could.
Oh yeah, give me ketchup, loads of it.
You and my daughters. I have two daughters. I have a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they love their ketchup. Oh my!
Ketchup on everything.
Yes.
Everything. Not on a roast dinner, or a curry. They can, but everything else.
No. No. Don't ruin.
No.
Curry with you. Okay, so here's the next question. Lager or bitter?
I'm a lager person.
Because that's seasonally affected, that one. Because if we're in the middle of autumn or winter, then it's ale, of course, bitter. But if we're in the summer and it's hot, then it's lager. So how can you make me? You have to give me more specific.
I love it. You know what? I'm gonna with that one. You're right, but I would always go with bitter. But it's only because we don't really do it the same way here. And so anytime I'm in England, I have to have that experience. That is kind of like, having it really pumped.
We do it really well. Cask ale here in the UK is obviously there's something else that you do in North America that is bonkers. Is all your beers are really strong, alcohol wise.
Yes.
Whereas a cask ale, they're really weak. They're like 3.8, 4%. So you can drink it and you're just fine.
But that's lovely. Like, I actually really like that because I can kind of drink it and just like enjoy, and I can have a second one and not feel terrible, And
you can have one at lunchtime and on a Saturday and you're okay. It doesn't make you fall asleep. It's perfect.
I was wondering if one of you was going to be like wine or something.
No, we should say that beer is a very important part of Swingle life. Like, we're all so into it.
Yeah, coffee.
The other one being gin and tonic is another big one for us.
Ooh,
we love a gin and tonic.
Okay, so I'm deviating now. So my wife likes gin and tonic, but it's very specific. Like the gin, you can't just use any gin.
I have a collection of about in my house here of about 12 small batch gins.
Oh my good! Like, so you're really into it. I mean,
you can get really good gin and you can get really bad gin.
So I always have a bottle of just like Gordon's gin, London Dry, just as a go-to. And then for me, it's about having a good tonic.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
So
We're
you've got
totally
good
into our
fever tree tonic or a Mediterranean tonic. Then you don't need a really posh gin.
so we have Fever Tree here as well, and it is stellar. Like, yeah, but I think our go-to gin is like Bombay Sapphire. That's like it's just a solid.
That's a good one.
I'm a Scotch drinker myself. I don't drink a lot of gin, but I'll still drink a gin and tonic. I like. Okay, so here's a weird one: tennis or cricket?
Oh, tennis.
Tennis.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend.
But tennis is more thrilling.
It is.
Cricket. Okay, I'll defer to you that it has its place.
I don't know if I could even argue that.
You know what I should have asked?
I used to score cricket when I was at school. I was a cricket scorer, so I've watched a lot of cricket.
Oh, I can't think of anything worse.
It was a little boring. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, I think the only thing worse than being a cricket scorer is being a someone who goes to watch it. Like,
but then it's just the whole experience. A sunny day. Again, we're back to beer.
Okay, fair enough. If there's beer involved, I'm there. Okay.
Right.
So what I should have asked, actually, now that I think of it, is a rugby union or rugby league. That's what I should have asked.
I don't know what those words mean.
You're like, I don't like the sports balls. I
tend to be more of I'm a fair weather rugby fan in that I like the tournament. So the Six Nations has just started here, and I really enjoy that vibe. But I don't watch the unions or the leagues. I just watch the big ones. The World Cup nations. That's what I want.
The only reason I know is because my wife is originally Northern, and rugby is a big part of the culture. So yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I rugby over football every day of the week as well. Soccer is dull. Rugby is great.
So I'm the same. I know football is like huge, but rugby I'm much more engaging and more exciting, right? Okay, so this is technically the last question, but I might have a few up my sleeve. And please feel free to answer. All of our people on chat, we're getting some. We had a little bit more vote for bitters, except for our friend Amanda, who said neither.
Amanda, we'll buy you a gin.
I know, we'll get her a gin and tonic. Okay, bangers and mash or shepherd's pie?
Ooh, tough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
bangers
hard.
and mash. Bangers and mash, covered in gravy. Oh.
But a really rich, good shepherd's pie has loads of gravy in it as well. It's really good.
That's so
I one last potato mash that was just amazing.
I mean,
but I think you're right. We're going to go with bangers and mash.
My rule is gravy. If it has gravy, I'm happy.
By the way, Amanda came back to say cider. So
okay.
Okay, we can buy you one, Amanda.
We can do a cider. You actually make some great ciders. Okay, so these are follow-ups. That I usually have 5. We've totally gone all over that. But tea or coffee?
Coffee.
I'm a tea.
Tea?
Tea. Got my tea.
So it's really I feel like in England everything has shifted. There's a lot more of a coffee culture happening now than there was. So I met my wife 13 years ago, 14 years. I don't know. I'm going to get in trouble now, but
you should know that.
I should know that. Like this. I think it's 14 years next month. How about that? So it's almost. We're going to go with that. Yeah. So there was a much more tea culture, I'd say 14, 15 years ago, and seeing a stronger and stronger coffee culture happening in England.
Yeah, another. Oh, bye.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're just disappearing, but you're still here.
Great.
He's a ghost.
I think it depends what time of day. I think. Okay. Ooh, am I here? Am I here?
Sorry, no, you're not here, but you are audio.
How bizarre!
It's unpredictable.
By the way, I was just told, my wife just walked past and she said it's 15.
Oh, no.
You're in trouble.
It's felt like less because time has just flown.
Right. Oh, 2020 didn't count.
No, we don't count that year.
Yeah.
All right. So last question before we let you go, because I don't want to keep you all day, but I could. crisps or chocolate?
Crisps.
Well, Ollie's crisps. I knew as soon as you said crisps, anything against crisps.
Okay, so Ollie, you're still there. Are you like Walkers? Like what crisps?
Oh yeah, I don't like fancy crisps. I want like basic crisps, like what you'd call the Lay's barbecue in America, like some of my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, a good strong flavor. Even a Pringle will do, you know, at a push.
Like a strong flavor. So like I know you have like cheese and onion or stuff like that.
Yeah, prawn cocktail is one of my big
Salt and
favorites.
vinegar, prawn cocktail.
Prawn.
So if you can find it, I have a photo of myself somewhere with a bag that says Canadian ham. We don't have that here in Canada, but I just thought it's perfect for me. I'm a Canadian ham. I just thought that was.
I've never seen that, but I'm sure Ollie will want to try it.
Have like what is the fancy one? And it's like in a black bag, and it has like Thai chili or something like that.
Yeah, Sensations.
Sensations.
Thai sweet chili Sensations. Ooh.
So Midge, would you have went with chocolate or crisps?
I have to go with chocolate.
Yes.
Any chocolate.
Are you like are you brand like are you Galaxy or like Dairy Milk?
I'm Dairy Milk every day.
Really?
Oh, I like don't even like Galaxy that much.
You're a Cadbury's person then.
Cadbury's person, and then Terry's chocolate orange is the ultimate form of any food ever.
I hate I love chocolate, but I hate mixing it with stuff. So the orange and the chocolate. Oh, I know.
Now I really, really want a chocolate orange.
But my family is happy because they get to eat them instead. So that's good.
Right.
You know what? I wanted to say a big thank you to both of you. Thank you so much for being on today and for being part of this. You're both amazing people. The Swingles continue to do just wonderful work. Please give Midge and Ollie, disappearing Ollie.
Yes, disappearing Ollie.
He's still there.
We can hear you though.
I'm
this
hovering
is good.
in darkness.
But please head over to their website, theswingles.co.uk, and hit up their Patreon. Please support them. And they're in the process of, my understanding, you're going to be launching some new recordings of like you're newly working on original music, I should say. That's
right. So this year, 2021, keep an eye out for a live stream show. Because we really enjoyed doing them last year, and it means that we love that people watch from all over the world. So actually, the silver lining of this whole time is reaching out to more and more people. So yeah, live streaming and a new original song project is definitely plans.
amazing. Thank you both so very much. I'm going to play one more little clip of a song, and we'll sign off in just a moment.
Red rain is coming down. Red rain. Red rain is pouring down all over me.
Well, that has been Java and Gab with Jordan. I know it's a longer episode today, but you know what? When you have people from the Swingles, you just want to chat and hang out. And a big thank you to both Midge and Ollie, just being phenomenal guests. And people, please check out the swingles.co.uk, support them on Patreon. And you know what? We'll see you again next week. Can't wait.
Do